Welcome back to the Rest is F1 podcast. Today we are looking at the Japanese Grand Prix 2025. We have just finished the race about 2, 3 hours ago now, guys. And of course, we're all back. I'm your host Shaq, and I've got Ham and ABD with me today. How are we, guys? How was the race?
Hey Shaq, how you doing?
I'm good.
The race. I don't know. It was okay, but then Max was amazing. We'll get into deeper. ABD, what do you think?
Yeah, same thing. A very boring race to say the least. At one point, like the first few laps, like I think first 10, 15 laps, it was almost like free practice. So that
Yeah,
was okay.
yeah. What would you guys give it for like a rating out of 10?
Four.
Yeah, four
Four.
for me as well.
Guess what? I've got four as well.
The
Yeah, four
reason
out
for
of
four
10.
is Max. The reason for four is Max.
Well, I don't know. I feel like if Max was not in the front, then the McLarens would have just gone away.
Yeah, which would have reduced the rating even worse because it was a
Yeah,
complete clean race. There were no sort of what do you call it? Yellow flags or red flags or a safety car to say nothing. It was a clean race. There wasn't any fights or close calls between drivers apart from Verstappen and Norris. That was towards the end of the pit lane. Apart from that, it was a clean race, and was
yeah,
expecting a bit more from Suzuka. So I think the whole race it was pushed and bought to us by Max, so it was amazing seeing him win.
yeah,
It's been a long time since we've seen Red Bull or Max winning, so it was good to watch. And this time he had cars behind him, and he wasn't ahead for long with a huge distance. So Max, he was good.
yeah. I think last time Max won was Qatar last year, if I'm not wrong. And yeah, I think it was Qatar after he had just broken his streak of he had what? It was like 10 straight races he didn't win a single race. He was just kind
Yeah,
of around the podium and all that.
true,
Um,
true.
Yeah, so like you said, Max on top. It's, only took three races of the season for Max to win. But yeah, back on the top of the step. And McLaren, that was a totally different story, wasn't it? 2, 3 looked like they were the fastest car by a mile. But, when you face the best in the world, you're going to get punished if you don't take advantage, right?
Yeah, it was a bit of a shame actually. I was hoping they split the strategies between the two drivers. They were playing it safe, and going back to a rating of this race, I have a feeling there'll be a lot of criticism after this race on F1, the lack of competition.
Yeah.
No teams were taking any risks today, which was a bit of a dull scene to be watching as a fan. So yeah, a bit of a shame.
Yeah, it was funny that the team who have been like the most dominant of the last, 3, 4 weeks were the ones who actually were not able to win this time around, right? Norris just, he started to fall off at the start, lost about 2 seconds to Max, probably maintained that throughout the whole race, and then he just kept getting close, and he just kept losing the a couple tenths here and there, and then he would get it back, and then he'd lose it again, and he never got close enough. He never got in DRS, which Oscar did a lot of times during the race.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like you said, disappointing that McLaren just, they seem so happy to be safely sitting there and just, okay, we'll just take the double podium. We don't need the win. We'll just move on. They're just thinking about the long term.
Totally agree with you, Shaq, on that. Because we were expecting a bit more of a fight between the top positions, especially between Max, Norris, and Piastri. But then what I felt was either Norris was holding himself back, he's like, I'll get him towards the end, or he just did not have it in him to face Max. Max was a beast in this race. He kept it clean. He had no sort of tantrums thrown around throughout the race. He kept it clean. That was amazing from Max. And with a car like that, like ABD said, both McLarens were fast, especially Piastri. He caught up to Norris. He was in the DRS zone, but he just couldn't get him through it. Either it was the team's call, or he just couldn't overtake, or Norris was just defending him too good, or I don't know. They were fighting between each other, and they lost out on P1. They could have gone for the first position, but then they just let themselves behind. So I was like, what is happening here? Like, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
You 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 had the pace. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw, but almost an hour ago, there was some pictures that came out where Mark Webber, Oscar Piastri's manager, was having some fiery conversation with Zach Brown. I
Yep.
think there is something going on there in terms of, they could have let Oscar pass Lando and, and Oscar giving it a go at Max. They didn't even do that, right? They could have just swapped the places back if Oscar couldn't, overtake Max, but that didn't happen. So it was a bit of a shame to be honest.
It seemed
Yeah.
like Oscar was a bit more racy, bit more had a bit more pace in him than Lando, and that's what he was saying as well. He was like, "Is this Lando's true pace?" And he was like, the engineer was like, "Yeah, it is." And he was like, "Okay, well, I think I can get Max," and they just didn't want to go for that. Like you said, very safe, right?
Yep.
Yes. Like he had the pace in him. I think if they had swapped the McLarens around, I felt Piastri would have caught up to Lando, and he would have caught up to Max, and he would have won the race. So it was a bad call for McLaren. I don't know what they were doing, but then yeah, that's the scene today.
Yeah, let's actually look over to the other drivers. Let's look at Yuki. What do you guys think about how Yuki was doing? Obviously, he didn't get the points this weekend, but he did actually show some pace. But what do you think?
I think he was really disappointed at how the qualifying went. Um, I yeah, I think we talked about this Ham. It's more like a test race for him because his first race with Red Bull, he did really well in FP1, was very close with Max, but couldn't get it all out in qualifying, because probably that's the reason why we didn't see him fighting in top 10. So I think they have made the right choice between Lawson and Yuki. Yuki looks like the faster driver overall. Hopefully he can show some pace in the next race.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
totally, guys.
5 years of F1 experience actually is what Yuki has, and then you look over at Lawson, he's had 11 races with VCARB, and then he's done two with Red Bull. That's it's expected that Yuki goes on and actually performs somewhat in that car. And also, I actually had read something like before the race that he was saying, "Oh, it's actually not that difficult to drive." So maybe he will actually be potentially Red Bull's new number two for the future, not just temporarily. So that we'll have to see as well.
Yeah, totally. But then, since he had gone for a different setup, is what I've heard for the qualifying, and that affected him badly. So, if he is going to be a permanent Red Bull driver, he's got to show more potential. He did. He had got out of Q3, unlike Lawson, but then he couldn't convert it into points. He had a few drivers ahead of him. He did finish P12. With a car like that, where we saw how Max was driving, at least he could have got into the points. But then it was his first race. Let's wait for the next one, or we'll just give him, like we said, we can't judge a driver in a new car with just one or two races. We'll just wait and see how he performs. But then I have a feeling that he is going to be in points and going to help Red Bull gain some more constructor points this season, unlike the other second drivers they had. So let's see how Yuki performs in the season.
Yeah, looking a bit lower down the order actually. So the two Mercedes, Antonelli and George Russell, P6 and 7, I think. No, P5 and 6, sorry. And the two Ferraris were P4 and 7. So both teams just consistent there and getting points. And actually looking at the championship, of course McLaren is leading. They have, over 100 points already. But Mercedes is only 36 points now behind them. And they're still quite comfortably ahead of Red Bull and Ferrari. So
I,
what do you guys think that Mercedes can actually kind of keep this, this form keep going onwards, or you think they're going to start to drop off in between?
I think it's mainly that we've not been noticing Mercedes most of the time. They have been performing in the past races. They have been performing very well. George was on the podium twice. Antonelli always has been finishing in the points for the past couple of races. So they have been bagging points left, right. But then when it has been a good weather, there hasn't been a weather change yet. So once they move to a country which is a bit more warmer, I think they're going to start facing issues because we've seen last year when the weather is good, they're performing really well. So when the weather changes, I think it is affecting their car completely. They have a cooling issue, I think, because when the car gets heated up, the performance drops. So we'll have to wait and see for the next two races, and if they perform, I think a Red Bull and Ferrari has got to do some catching up because they are already well ahead of them, and they are closing in on McLaren.
I think the positive from today was Kimi getting that fastest lap of the race. I know it doesn't mean anything these days. There's no point for fastest laps anymore, but he got the fastest lap. He was consistently, really fast towards the last stint of the race. So I think that's some positive signs. Hopefully, he can get a bit more closer to George in qualifying in the upcoming races. And this is what you get when you have two consistent drivers in a team, right? You're second
Yeah.
in the championship without even winning a race. There you go.
I like the path that Mercedes is taking. They're being consistent. They're not being greedy for the win like how they were in the previous seasons. I think that they were greedy for the win because of Hamilton being in the team. Now they are bagging points, they are being consistent, which is what you want because other teams they want to win. And when you fight for the championship, when you hunt for the win, you tend to make a lot of mistakes. But Mercedes has been keeping it quite control of themselves. So I think if they kept this same consistency, and we know McLaren's would ruin few things here and there. So Mercedes has a chance to take up on McLaren through the constructors, but then we'll have to wait and see.
The with the two, really quick McLaren cars, Oscar and Lando, they both really want to be drivers' champion. And, you can only have one. And so they're going to be fighting against each other. And with them stepping on each other's toes, if Mercedes is there, collecting those points, P3, 4, 5, 6, just getting points, being near, they could, try and swoop in either the drivers or the constructors. Obviously, the drivers would be a little bit easier because, when drivers collide, DNFs happen, and that's huge point holes that just disappear. But I think if that kind of thing happens, you could see someone like George Russell swoop in and steal the championship from everyone. But of course, when you have people like Max in the way, it makes it a lot more difficult, right?
I was
So that's another thing to be mindful of. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just about to say, when this season started, I was thinking, okay, one of the McLaren boys would just go with the Drivers' Championship easily. But after today, I'm not too sure. Like, if Max can perform like this in the upcoming races, it's going to be a fight till the end for McLaren boys. It's going to be similar to last year. Imagine like Red Bull brings more upgrades to the car, make it more faster this season. McLaren will have catch up to do. So I think this is not The bigger picture is like, okay, McLaren's doing good, but that's I feel like that's not going to be the case throughout the season. It's going to shift. Yeah.
They have been good the last season as well, but then Verstappen was consistent throughout the season. That's why he has got the drivers' championship and Norris did not. So if you want to win the drivers' championship, both the McLaren boys have to put in. Else the team is going to grab the constructors and Verstappen is going to go with the drivers' championship. So they've got to put in a lot of effort because Max is a beast. He is the best on the grid at the moment. So if they want to win, they have to put in the effort.
Yeah. Um, one like you said, so one important thing that you said at the start of the video. We had very much no highlights to watch in this race, right? And the one of the probably the most exciting thing we had this race was that pit exit moment between Verstappen and Norris. I mean, when I saw it, I was like, okay, has Max done something wrong? But usually when you exit a pit, and if you're in front, there's nothing you can do. You're just driving and you've just done your stop. And so initially when Norris started complaining about that and I saw the replay and I was like, okay, don't think that, oh, Max is right there. I have no other chance in this race to catch him, so I'm gonna do it now. I think that's the mindset that Norris had.
Norris was best just being cheeky there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I even McLaren were like, yeah, we are reviewing it. I mean, I
Yeah.
saw the replay and I'm like, okay, you're just mowing the lawn there. He's just full throttle on the grass. Let's see if I can overtake Max through the grass. No way.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
No, that was clearly Norris's fault. He just tried to swoop in to grab the position, but then Max was clearly ahead. He didn't do anything wrong, but I felt it funny because I see how Lando was just going up to the on the radio and like, oh, Max cut me off. He pushed me off. And Verstappen was like, I didn't do anything. I was just being in a position. I didn't do anything. So they were fighting back and forth each other. But then we know it wasn't Max's fault. It was totally Norris who was trying to get it through the grass, but then failed miserably. And uh, but rest, you can see what they did through the race, so which was Max winning.
Yeah, a desperate move from Lando, that's what that was.
100%. Yep.
Um, yeah. Um, so another actual, probably I think it was lap one actually. So another probably main highlight from this race was that Gasly and Alonso were almost going alongside each other through the 130R second last corner. That was really cool. Like they did it from the spoon curve as well, and then they went up the hill and still stayed there. And for the two experienced drivers to trust each other, not to like, crash or any. That could have been a huge crash. They're both going full speed, right? That would have been crazy.
Alonso loves 130R. He overtook
Yeah.
the great Michael Schumacher through there. And I've told this in the predictions video as well. Like Japan Suzuka circuit is my favorite circuit. Even when I play F1 on PS5, this is my favorite circuit. 130R used to be a corner. It's no longer a corner. It's like flat out. Uh,
It's flat out, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it was great to see that Gasly Alonso fight.
Yes, it's
Yeah, and
honestly, Alonso, for the first time this season, we've seen him complete a race. So it was fun watching him do that. Like Shaq mentioned, they went throughout,
Hmm.
and they trusted each other. They were right beside each other. So that was one amazing moment through in this race. And like ABD, you mentioned Schumacher and Alonso, and you do remember his reply when he overtook Schumacher through the 130R. So that was one of the iconic moments in the Formula One history, and we could say we kind of revisited that moment, but then again, it was Alonso who did it. So that was something.
Yep.
Yeah, Alonso said something like, "I know he has kids at home" or something like that. I know he has a family to go home to, right? That's what he
Yeah,
said back in the
exactly.
day.
Yeah. Back when he
Yeah,
was a rookie.
Exactly. Yeah. It was like
yeah.
year or something. Yeah.
Was it in the Renault?
Yep. Renault versus
In the
Ferrari.
Renault. Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Times
so
fly.
actually, speaking of these midfield teams, again, guys, we had multiple midfield teams scoring points. The only team who haven't scored a single point after three races is Alpine, and they definitely are not the slowest car. I think you would still say Sauber is. So to think of that so far, that's pretty nice to be having that wide spread of points.
Biggest surprise for me was Behrman.
Yeah,
He has beaten Ocon fair and square this race. Like imagine Ocon, he's used to be like a Mercedes driver, right? So and so many years of experience fighting against Sergio Perez, I think Alonso, and Behrman's beating him in Suzuka. So I think that was the biggest surprise for me.
Really know the true potential of Behrman. He is good.
he
He
is
is
good. Yeah.
capable. He is good. It will be coming in the coming seasons. We can see him perform at an even better level. So good luck to Behrman. To be honest, I would love to see him on the podium. I would love to see Behrman on the podium.
I would like to see at least 99% of any of these drivers on the podium. So, or yeah, all but one, you know who that is. But um, the the last other thing I was gonna say, Hadjar and Albon, eighth and ninth. Hadjar was the second best Red Bull. He was beat both Lawson and Sonoda, and Albon, third race in a row, scoring points for Williams, while Sainz is only obviously he's got just the one. That's that's quite a feat, and it's a big teammate, big name teammate, Sainz is.
Yeah, it is a bit of a surprise. I actually predicted Sainz to beat Albon in my crazy predictions for Japan. That didn't happen. I'm not too sure about what's going on there. Like, hopefully we'll see a different picture in the next race. But yeah, Science sort of, yeah, I was hoping he's going to beat Albon easily, but Albon's just showing true pace these days, so that's not happening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He is a different person in the car. We could hear him over the radio. He is just pure raw energy coming out of from him. He's like, oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm the best. So he is showing true potential. But then I
You,
wouldn't
you're talking
slide
about
out. Sorry.
Albon.
Yeah, Albon. Yeah, exactly. Yes. And I wouldn't slide signs because towards the end of the race, he was actually, ever since he's on the soft tires, he was overtaking most of the racer drivers ahead of him. So he was showing pace, but then Albon was on another level. Sainz has to step on it to reach alongside Albon in the coming races.
Yeah, I mean, we can't forget that, Science is a newer driver into the team. This is his third race, so there's still that, time to adapt. Just like same with Lewis, we can't expect these guys to just step in and, deliver podiums or P5s or whatever it is that we expect from them. So, that time needs to come there. Even like someone like Yuki, I would expect, he just needs some more time to really get into that car. I feel like he will actually get control of that Red Bull and he'll start to actually score some points. So
I just hope Red Bull gives him more than two races.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
totally,
don't think
totally,
they have a
yes.
choice. What do they do if Sonoda doesn't work? Well, that's pretty much everything, isn't it? Unfortunately, a boring race. Um, oh, actually, no, sorry. There's one more thing I just remembered. George Russell was speaking about the new surface of the Suzuka track, and he was saying that the Pirellis needed to be softer because that of the fact that they were not wearing out enough.
It was not
So
raining.
they could push pretty much the entire stint and they would still have plenty of tire left over,
Yeah,
which is very
they could do,
uncharacteristic.
yeah, they could do the whole race just with one set of tires,
Yeah,
basically.
See, I
yeah,
think that is basically because of the weather. Suzuka is normally tends to be a rainy race. It tends to be a wet race. We've been getting wet races from Suzuka most of the time. Hardly we get a dry weather race there. So I think since they had a few changes in the schedule, where normally we would have Bahrain and Saudi before Suzuka. So I think the next time next season we would probably have uh, Bahrain and Saudi before uh, Australia. Then comes China. Then comes Suzuka. That's what they did last year. So when they come back to that calendar, probably next year that might happen because they had shifted Bahrain and Saudi because of the fasting season that has been happening in the Arab countries. So
Yeah.
those are that is going to go forward.
Yeah.
So when that happens, I think Bahrain and Saudi are going to be back in the starting calendar with the start of the calendar, and Suzuka is going to be the wet race. So I think there is no point in asking Pirelli to make a softer tire for the next season. They should have made it for this season. So with George, I think he would have meant that they should have provided us with softer tires for this race. So probably for
Yeah,
this
I think
season.
that's what he was talking about. I think they had picked the three that was probably the less soft. So I think he meant that they should have picked the more soft ones so that there was more wear, and then you could actually overtake because this track, this race, no one, no overtake, not one change in the top 10. That's what it was. Hamilton had just swap positions. Everyone else finished exactly where they started.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, true.
So yeah, unfortunately, 4 out of 10 from all of us at TRF1. This is probably the worst race so far, unfortunately. But we have got Bahrain and Saudi next triple header. We've just begun the triple header, so that sums up everything for today. We hope you have enjoyed the video and, of course, the Japanese Grand Prix. And we'll see you guys for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Bye.
Bye, guys. So please do like, share, and subscribe. Cheers.